Hey guys, Doug the Michigan Piper coming to you from the Pipe Rest again today, and smoking my Friday Savinelli. My match is Savinelli, just a beautiful, beautiful pipe, guys. In it, I am smoking some Country Gentleman, and at the suggestion of Pat the Paladin Piper, I've got a pinch of BCA in it, and yes, it's wonderful. Very nice. I mean, Distinguished Gentleman's good anyway. But yeah, with a little BCA in it, it's very nice. So I was going to do a VR. It sort of still is a VR to Craig from HikingPipes. And Craig had just done a story. If I think about it, I'll put his link in the bucket. It's kind of funny, you know, about a high school story or early 20s story, I guess it was. And you know, I told him in the comments, I'm like, hey, I'm going to do a VR to that. And then I got back, you know, I was thinking about some funny stuff that happened when I was a kid. But then, you know how it goes. You think about, you know, maybe you're going to do a video or what you could or should do a video about. And I went from funny to serious, so bear with me on this video, guys. But thought it was still worth talking about. When I was in high school, I was not the most confident kid in the school. I was 5'11", about $1.45 soaking wet. Didn't have a whole lot of friends because I jumped schools due to us moving and stuff, and not, you know, just kind of almost one of those sit on the shelf type of guys, you know. I mean, I had a loud mouth, but, you know, especially when I got in high school, I was more hide in the shadows type of kid. And my senior year, 1989, 1990, I got involved with a girl who had a boyfriend. And typical high school drama. You know, two guys going after the same girl, talking trash about each other. And I was kind of emboldened because, you know, I'd always been almost scared of my own shadow most of the time. And this is a kid I thought, in my mind, it's like, I can beat him up, like that mattered, right? And so, of course, I was in the wrong. I just kept talking trash about him, and I'd try to get him to meet me after school, and he wouldn't meet me. You know, we'd sit there with a bunch of people waiting on him, and he'd never show up. And, you know, if you see me in the hallway, hey, buddy, how you doing? You know, and I just talked to him like he was a piece of dirt. You know, just wrapped up in pride, boosted by a very, very fragile ego, and so I devised this plan with this mutual friend of ours that I would spend the night at my friend's house. And then he would invite this other kid over on Saturday, and I could beat him up when he showed up. Again, this is high school, guys. Don't hold this against me. This is a long time ago. But my friend agreed and was like, yeah, that's not a bad idea. Cool. I want to see a good fight. Why not? So we invited him over, and sure enough, he said yes. So Friday night, you know, I went over, spent the night, and Saturday morning, the phone rang at my friend's house. Now remember, this is back before cell phones. And it was my mom. And she's like, hey, Jill, the girl that was involved in all this, Jill wants you to call her. Her mom just called me. Okay. So I called Jill, and pretty much the only thing that Jill could tell me she could get out was the fact that this guy had been decapitated in a car accident the night before, on that Friday night. And as an 18-year-old kid who had, you know, all kinds of growing up issues going on. It's just kind of a shock thing. You know, you're just kind of like staring off into space. Like, I don't know what to do in a situation. And so to add insult to injury, because there was no cell phones, and this wasn't just something he called everybody up and told them over the phone. Jill was requesting me to come pick her up, and so I did. And we spent the next several hours going from home to home, friend's house to friend's house, explaining what was going on. Sorry about that. Deepest part of the story, and I got a notification. Shut the camera off. Anyway, she's just a mess, and so I have to take her from home to home to home to our friends' houses, explaining what happened, all the while knowing that I was ready to pulverize this guy several hours after his accident. You want to talk about some deep-seated issues for a teenager to work through? And I tell you guys that to I don't know if it's a warning, if it's just something to say, hey, beware, or be advised, or whatever. I'm searching for the right word, obviously, but just the fact that you never know when the last words are going to be spoken. I can tell you, over 30 years later, to me, you know, I've forgiven myself. I mean, there's not a whole, I can't ask him to forgive me, right? But I've forgiven myself. I've asked God for forgiveness for, you know, being a dumb teenager. But you know, that's always come back to mind when I consider how I talk to people. When I consider, you know, what I really want to say to somebody. You know, I had a discipleship group with some kids, some teenagers, at one of my past churches, and you know, I told them that story. I haven't told a whole lot of people this story until now. But I told, you know, these teenagers a story because, you know, they were who I was back at that point, and I can see it in their eyes. And guys, I love to teach. I love instructing because I love seeing light bulbs go off. I love seeing people learn things, and helping them through that. And I could see that in them. So, you know, it's kind of one of those things that God's always glorified. But it's a very good reminder, you know, how short life is. And it's hard sometimes because you get into the cliches, you know, and your last words may be your last words, or, you know, you never know what's coming tomorrow. But there's a lot of truth in that. There's a lot of, you know, we don't know. And I'm sure a lot of you guys have been in a situation, whether it's people dying of, you know, of illnesses or car accidents or whatever, but people being taken away from us much sooner than we think they should be. You kind of look back on your last words, you know, and some people have the benefit of, you know, a slow being able to say goodbye to somebody slowly, even as painful as that is, you know, depending on how they're going to their final days. But they get that chance to say goodbye. But there's the people that aren't able to do that, and you know, I really think that has solidified a lot on how I talk to people, on how I approach people. You've heard time and time again stories about people who did not commit suicide because somebody smiled at them. Smiled. Not didn't even say anything, just smiled. So yeah, I hope that helps you guys, you know, to think through that, and has an impact one way or shape, form, the other. Not that I'm considering myself something that people should be guiding their lives after by any means, but yeah, that Craig, that story just kind of came to mind, so I figured I'd throw it out there. And share that with those to who it may benefit. So, guys, my pipe keeps going out because my mouth keeps running. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this thing up so I can enjoy the rest of this pipe. But if you guys are watching this within the few hours, I hope you have a great weekend, and I hope you're all doing well. Until next time, you take care.